Okay, so good morning. Fancy five towns for Shabbos. Um, Here for a couple of days. Um, if you don't take a day flight, you shouldn't take a day flight. Um, Kills your whole day. Um, Takes a while for the plane to actually get to the gate. There's more traffic going on there. So there's a lot of stuff going. There's more traffic on the road. A lot of stuff added on to the flight. We take a day flight as opposed to the night flight. So, note to self: don't do that again. Um, but here we are. And Parsha Pinchas, very unique parsha, not because of Parsha Pinchas, but because also what's in the parsha as well. Karbanos, the musafim, and doesn't I don't know if it belongs here. Doesn't belong here. I don't know. Of course it belongs here. Hashem put it in Parshas Pinchas, even though they're doing musafim. They taught the musafim at Har Sinai, where they did the karbanos of the musaf in the midbar or not. Again, why here? Why now? Maybe say earlier, maybe say Vayikra, where the Karbanos are. But the juxtaposition with the Parsha Pinchas and why it's here is it's kind of a little perplexing. I actually have a thing for this Parsha because a bunch of years ago they were putting a Torah together at the Shul Ob Yisrael here in Rapid Shemesh, and I was debating whether to do Baloscha, my favorite Parsha, or Pinchas. Why Pinchas? Because Pinchas is read the most times. So everyone knows, so you have 11 times a year, 12 times a year, and there's 2 days Chag, Rosh Chodesh, you have Yontif, you have the Parsha itself. So Parsha Pinchas is used the most times. So I figured to myself, $100 or something, get the most return on investment if I donate Pinchas. And I'm not even sure what I did. I think I did Pinchas, by the way. But either way, it's a very interesting place. Pinchas has, when it comes around, besides the story of Pinchas, obviously, what he did, but they're Musafim. And maybe 20 years ago, maybe longer, I remember Rabag, he asked me a question. It was about Torah or something. He said to me, "Do you know how many karbonos were today? How many animals was the musaf of today?" And I think it was Shavuos. And I had no idea, even though it was right after musaf. And I was so embarrassed. I don't think he meant to embarrass me. Maybe he did. I'm not sure. But he meant to kind of make a point that we just read this in the musaf. And you know how many animals you talked about? How many animals was the carbon on Shavuos? And for that moment, I really started to pay attention each chag, how many animals there were. Again, most people don't know. Usually when they lane, I always do with my fingers 217. 2 parim, 1 shekvasim, 1 al. 217 is most is chodesh, most regalim is 217. That's like the norm. Pesach is 217. Sukkot is 13, 214. It goes down each day of parim. Yom Kippur is 117. Torah 117. Rosh Hashanah. Some of them are different, but most of them are 217, 2 parim, 1 aisle. And again, what's the point of this? Who cares? Well, there is a point of it, because A, you're davening, you should know what you're davening, but B, the Sefer Shalom talks about that this is very important to actually have osek in the karbanos. Being osek in karbanos, meaning not just to say the davening, say karbanos, but be osek. To kind of not just say the words, but be osek, meaning to really wish you did it, really understand the halachos, really understand what's going on. And that's very important, because without that, it's not going to really help in the Sa'imim, Libinyan Beis HaMikdash. We're not going to have the Beis HaMikdash if people don't want it, if people don't care for it. People, we're just saying it, Shleim, it's great, we go there once in a while, we'll go to the kotel and have a coffee. But to really desire it, to really want it, to understand what it means not to have it, not to have the Shekhinah in its place. Hashem is out of place. We're out of place. The role of Jewish people out of place. And this year we feel it more than ever. How the Shekhinah is out of place, and we're in pain. We're in tsar. And one of the things, I don't know if people remember, the early family in Rapid Shemesh, Binyamin Early was killed a few months ago, and generally speaks a lot of places. And one thing she's mentioned in a speech someone said to me is her son said, Binyamin said, every place in Gaza, every house has a picture of the dome, Al-Aqsa Dome. And generally says, Mashiach will come when we want it like they want it. When we want Beis Mikdash, as much as they want to go to Yerushalayim, we should want it. And that's the point that she made. And so that's why this, and the Sefer Shalom says it's actually very appropriate why this is in this parsha right about now. One reason is because this is the Dor Deah, and now it's the Dor of Avoda. This is the week that Yeshua is appointed, and Yeshua's job is to conquer, is to do the Avoda. Moshe's generation was Deah, acquiring the Torah, Shomrei Ra, going away from Mitzrayim, getting to the level of getting the Torah. And Yeshua's job now was to take the people to do actions, to do the Karbanas, to conquer Eretz Yisrael, and that's the action of that generation. So therefore, the change of the generation, Pinchas is now going to be the next Kohen Gadol, Pinchas is going to be Kohen Meshuach, Yeshua was going to be the next leader. So this is a great place to talk about the actions of not just Yeshua, but his generations will be Karbanos. And the second reason of why this is kind of in this part right now is because this starts the Beit HaMitzarim. This starts 3 weeks. Pinchas always rolls around the first of 3 weeks. And therefore, to kind of remember and kind of wake us up, a little rare, to wake us up to the fact that we don't have a Beis Hamikdash. And again, it's not just waking up Tisha B'Av night and looking what Crocs I have. They have leather, they don't have leather. And not just planning my Siyum. When am I going to this restaurant? Who's making Siyum? There's really a lot more. And it's not just Tisha B'Av. Where am I going to hear the different Shiurim? It's 3 weeks. It's Beit HaMitzarim. It's the 3 weeks. It's hard to really wake up Tisha B'Av night and just all of a sudden think about Yerushalayim, think about Hashem in Golis, and we're in Golis. And the only way to really come to, just like we come to Yom Kippur, we prepare 10 days for it. So we're actually preparing almost. It's 3 weeks of preparing for Tisha B'Av. And especially this time of fortune in our lives, this is like a very difficult musaf. You're on the plane, you're in the airport, you don't know who's around the corner. You really don't know what's going to take place. And the back of our minds is to think about, helps us, unfortunately, it's a little rare to wake us up to really understanding what we're missing. We're missing our place in the world. We're missing Hashem's place in the world. And to turn Tisha B'Av into this Chag. And the Mefarshim talk about that Tisha B'Av is a Chag. And the Sivir Shalom says, it's not really a Chag. It turns into a Chag because we're davening so much for Tisha B'Av, because we're turning the day into a day of tshuva. We're turning the day into a day of bechia, of crying, but for the future. We're not just crying for the past. We're actually crying for the future. There's a story that Sivir Shalom brings with Plato, talking to Yirmiyahu, which doesn't make sense because Plato and Yirmiyahu didn't live at the same time, but another philosopher maybe, Apaltan, I'm not sure who that is, and Yirmiyahu's writing all these sad stories down, these poems, and Yirmiyahu was saying it's not for the past, it's for the future. We're not crying. Jews, we cry for the past, but we'll get over it. Shamar Sadavar, just like Yaakov didn't forget crying when Yosef was taken away. He always remembered this. If it was something for the past, we move on. People get hurt, people die, things happen, and we move on. But Jewish people are not crying for the past, and we're crying for the future. We're crying for hope. It's a different type of crying. Sivir Shalom said this is how Basia heard that Moshe crying and says, this is a cry of a Jew. Well, it will be his cry. So Sivir Shalom says, no, Moshe was crying for the future. Moshe was crying because what was going to happen and the future, that he wants the Golas to end and the Gula to take place. And that's something that we should cry for. We're not just crying on Tisha B'Av for the past, we're crying for the future. We want Mashiach to come. We're hoping. It's a cry of tikva, as the Sivir Shalom says. Shabbat Shalom.